Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to one of our weekly Celtic Q&A streams because we've got a lot to talk about, which wasn't the intention of tonight's stream. My whole thought process leading into today was that I would do a stream because there wasn't a lot to talk about rather than a video. And over the course of the day, a couple of stories have broke, which has given us quite a bit to talk about. So, aye, we've got a lot to cover in a short space of time, but good evening, nice to see you. If you haven't already, make sure to hit like and subscribe. If you're watching live, join in with us as the night unfolds. If you're watching back in video form, once the stream is over, then sorry you've missed the boat, but ho-hum, you know the script by now. Like and subscribe. Hello, nice to see you. By the way, over 100 odd people already in. How do I think I'll cope? Well, I'll be in my big bed in Philadelphia watching the derby, so God knows if I'll see it, but I'll try and get up. Anyway, how are you all doing? Nice to see some familiar names, nice to see some different names. We've got to try and cover a few things before we get on to the Q&A section, so I'm going to try and waste as little time as possible, but thank you for tuning in on this Wednesday night. Hope you've all enjoyed your dinner if you've had it already. If not, then what time do you call this? Get it made, get it ate. Right, we've not got all night. Shall we start with the big story that broke about an hour or so ago surrounding Brendan Rodgers and his potential suspension from the touchline following his comments on the referees and VAR at Tynecastle. I'm going to bring up the article as a visual aid for us all because this really popped out of nowhere, and this is what I mean. This came from absolutely nowhere tonight, although I did expect it. What did I say in my video the other day? I said he'll probably end up getting suspended for his comments. Here we are. The headlines in Sky Sports News, the headlines across all the tabloids and such this evening. Brendan Rodgers could miss that derby on April 7th against Rangers at Ibrox after his SFA charge for his outburst at officials following the Hearts loss. The Celtic boss accused match officials of, quotations, absolutely shocking decision making in the defeat to Hearts. Celtic appeal over the red card shown to Yang was dismissed. Brendan Rodgers could miss trips to Livingston and Rangers if handed a 2-match ban. We'll read a bit of the article here just to see what's been said. So he could miss the derby clash with Rangers after the SFA charge. Obviously recapping on his comments, we'll come back to that in a moment, but he's been accused of breaching Rule 72 of SFA rules, which stipulates that managers as well as other players and staff cannot indicate bias or incompetence regarding match officials during interviews. Of course, he's mentioned a lot of incompetence, and there will be a hearing taking place on March 28th, and a 2-game ban would see him miss the trips to Livingston on March 31st and Rangers on April 7th. And then I'm not going to plug the live Sky Sports part. However, the panel do have options to clear him of the charge. Now, Brendan Rodgers came out very honestly, very bluntly after the Hearts game and spoke about the shocking decisions made, which I think that he was well within his rights to do. I don't hold anything against Brendan Rodgers, and I know he's up for suspension now, and you could say it's stupid or whatever, but he came out and said exactly how it was, what we were all thinking. There were some shocking decisions in the Hearts games at both sides, you know, not just beneficial to Celtic, but or Hearts, but beneficial to Celtic as well. The penalty we were given wasn't the correct decision, in my opinion. And Brendan Rodgers has just came out and spoke his mind about it. However, as we all know now, in the modern game of football and in the snowflake society, I'm joking, but in the modern game of football, you can't come out and criticise the referees publicly. You can't lambast them because it does lead to these sorts of suspensions. So now we are looking at a reality where Brendan Rodgers could miss the Rangers game on April 7th. Now, what I will say about that is, it's obviously devastating news, but it's not done yet. There is an appeal process which Celtic are going to go through and see what happens on March 28th. That's when we'll get the full verdict and decision as to whether or not Rodgers will miss those games. Before then, we have Livingston in the Cup and then an international break, so there is a lot of time to wait. It is until the end of the month. Will he be cleared of this wrongdoing? Will he be let away with it? Will he get this ban? I think he will probably end up with the ban because he came out and he didn't pull any punches, did he? He came out and said it exactly how it was, and he didn't hide his emotion. And this is the situation we find ourselves in. A lot of people might criticise him and say he should have fought better because now he won't be there for the derby or whatnot, but You know, it's easy to say that, but if you're the manager in that moment and you're feeling that emotion and you're feeling like you've been hard done by in a game, then you probably... I honestly commend managers in the modern game for not doing it more often. If it was me that was in charge of a football side in the year 2024, with VAR decisions going wrong every week, with referees just being general plonkers, I'd probably be suspended more often than not. So I actually commend them for it, but this is the situation we lie in. Now, Celtic did try and appeal the red card that was given to Yang. That said no. And this is the point I wanted to touch on as well. Cameron's brought this up. Are touchline bans even that big of a deal these days? No, they're really not, are they? Now, I know they try and restrict communication between the manager and the rest of the staff and the players. Like, they don't let them do whatever or this, that, and next thing. But at the end of the day, it doesn't take away from the fact that Brendan Rodgers will still... It's not like he's been given a Lennoxtown ban or a training ban for 2 weeks. Like, he's just not going to be on the touchlines. That's the only difference. And you can talk about kind of like psychological impacts that may have on the side or just general impacts, but at the end of the day, I don't think it really does that much, to be quite honest. I'm not one that worries about touchline bans. Of course, it's not ideal not to have your manager there at the touchline for the game like that, but Brendan Rodgers is hardly an animated character. It's hardly like he kind of impact greatly what's going to happen in the 90 minutes at Ibrox, where he's just standing at the touchline whistling over and giving an instruction every fucking 10-20 minutes. Like, it's not a big deal, but hopefully it is overturned just so he is there. But John Kennedy and all the rest of it have been there long enough to... They know what the instructions are, they know what the manager will be looking for, they will still get to communicate in some manner. If worse comes to worse at Livingston, you'll be able to hear him for the fucking stands anyway. So it's not going to be as drastic as what it might have been back in the fucking 60s, 70s, 80s or 90s. But it looks as though he will be set to miss it. I don't see it getting overturned. I think it's a joke in the first place, because at the end of the day, I think that you should be able to question the referee's decision makings, but when you put his foot in it, when he mentioned the name of John Beaton, for example, like when he single-handedly called him out, I knew that he'd stuck his foot in it right there. And that was going to be what kind of done him in. So that's that. We're waiting now to see what happens on March 28th. That's all we really can do. Let's have a look at what some of you are saying. Nathan says we'll miss him clapping every 0.4 seconds. Brendan getting charged is a joke, says Aaron. Yeah, I think it is. Jordan says, far too much human error, honest mistakes, and just piss poor refereeing. I'd lose my job if I performed that poorly. Yep, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't blame the manager. As I said, I commend the managers for not losing the rag more often. I'd be suspended every single week. Murray says, at least if Brendan is sitting in the stand, he'll be able to rest his wee notebook on something. There's always a positive somewhere. There's always something that works out for the best. And at least he doesn't have to try to, nobody likes doing it. You can't write it like that. You need a hard surface to put it on. How convenient from the SFA to ban Rodgers from the touchline. The Celtic board need to stand up to the SFA, but we tried to appeal the Yang ban. I don't think there's I don't think there's anything along the lines of, people are quick to jump to conspiracy and stuff, and I see Joseph here talking about Clement mentioning Column, but this isn't, I knew this was coming. This isn't something that is outlandish. Now, I've not seen what Clement has said about Willie Collum, for example. I haven't seen that. I can't comment. But I'm not surprised at all. This ban was coming the minute that interview was finished. Hopefully, what it does... Remember after the Livingston game... the Motherwell game, when Brendan Rodgers called the journalist, in quotations, good girl, and then we went out and won 7-1 on the Wednesday. He was angry. He was annoyed. Hopefully, that has the same impact in the coming weeks. Hopefully, he's angry. Hopefully, he's annoyed. Hopefully, that goes through to the team. And we get a couple of spankings in there. Maybe one at Ibrox. Is that too much? That's too much to ask for, isn't it? Let's see what else has been said. He does always bring them over and have a small chat with them. I think we'd see a bit of a difference, but as long as McGregor's back, if you've got Kennedy, McGregor and all the rest of it, like the instructions aren't going to fit. It's not like... I think some people overthink these sort of situations with managers not being on the touchline, and what they do in that is like they think that that's the game plan out the window, and nobody's there to change things or whatever. But that's not like that. We'll be fine. I hope it does get overturned, but I really think that there's a wishful thinking side of things there if you think that that's going to happen. Talbot Rothwell says, in my late 50s and Celtic have definitely faced biased officials on occasion. All we get from the cream buns is that we are whingers. I was glad Brendan called this out. SFA a complete shower. And there you go, one of the older Celtic supporters saying their piece. Thank you for your comment. Appreciate it. Let's see what else have we got. Gary says, to play devil's advocate, it was a representative of Rangers that mentioned Colm in a statement, not come on. Well, there you go then. That clears things up. But as I said, I have no idea what the whole Colm and Clement thing is, so I'm not going to use it as a comparison. There's no point if I'm not clued up on it, then I'm not going to comment on it because I would just feel pretty stupid. So yeah, that was the big news that came out tonight. Yang's still suspended. Rodgers could be facing suspension if the SFA don't withdraw it and let Celtic win the appeal or whatnot. So we'll be back on March 28th to see what the result of that is, and we'll probably have a more in-depth chat about that then. Shall we get into the updates on transfer stories so that we can get into the general Q&A? I feel like that's probably that's what most of you... We're nearly at 300 viewers, by the way. Thank you so much. If you haven't already, please, I urge you, go down below, hit like. It's very important that you do that. Just drop below. Like button. Do it. And then I'll get it. Do it. Got it? Thanks. I feel like most people come in for the Q&A section when we do these live streams because it's the funnest part. I like having the communication with you guys and stuff. But there has been a couple of big stories today in regards to transfers. We've got an update on Liel Abada's exit from Celtic, which looks imminent. But also, we could be seeing the departure of Bernabei just as quickly. Bernabei, who obviously we've known for a long time, not fit for purpose at Celtic, not to the standard that we need. And it looks as though he is off as a Brazilian side has come in to hand him, as what the Daily Record are dubbing, a misfit career lifeline. A career lifeline for Alexandre Bernabei. So apparently he's edging closer to a move to Brazil. And I think it's to... Is it Independiente? The article isn't actually fucking telling me here, is it? The first Argentine to play for the Hoops is set to be shipped back out of Celtic Park. On loan. Aha, right, okay, sorry. So anyway, the article's saying that Celtic misfit Alexandre Bernabei is inching closer to a Parkhead exit with a move to Brazil on the cards. The left-back arrived for $3.75 million from Lanús in 2022, becoming the first Argentine to play for Celtic. He was expected to challenge Taylor for the starting spot. Lo and behold, that hasn't happened. He struggled for playing time. Brendan Rodgers has only given him 9 appearances, but it looks as though we're going to cut our losses with the fullback, and he's going to be going on loan to Brazil. Sorry, it wasn't Independiente, it was SC Internacional. Mix up those two all the time. Independiente, Internacional. Ignore, what's this? Pensioners born before 1962 are now eligible for new hearing. There you go, lads. If you're born before 1962, get yourself on the hearing aids. But there you go. This is the bit you basically need to read. So it looks as though he's going to get going on a loan move to SC Internacional. The Brazilian market is one of the few options left for Bernabei, with the deadline for deals on March 7th. So their transfer deadline on March 7th means that they can still go out and sign Bernabei if they really want him, and it's probably going to be his last opportunity to leave the club. Now, that probably means that he'll be gone for good. Even though the loan would finish and he would come back to Celtic, I don't see him ever getting back into the team after that or whatnot. South America is probably where he needs to go back and rejuvenate his career. It's not worked out for him here at Celtic. He's worse than a man down, to be perfectly honest. And I don't mean to be cruel on the guy, and I don't mean to be two-footed tackling him here, but he's ranked rotten. And I've already seen, somebody said... So I'll use this, Craig. You've brought up a good point. My concern is the fact that we have no backup left back now. Bonkers decision, but no doubt a financial one. Should be sold in the summer, but not now. I actually don't care, and I'll tell you why. I would 100% take either moving Liam Scales to left back, or playing Mitchell Frame at left back, or playing anybody else who's even half competent at left back, than play Alexandre Bernabei. So this was one of the first things that one of my mates said to me today. It was like, what if Taylor gets injured? Then we're fucked. I'm like, we're no fucked. Ralston will do a better job there. We're no fucked. Bernabei's terrible. He's so bad. One of the worst football players I've ever seen at Celtic. And I would rather so many more people. I'd rather shove Joe Hart at left back than play Alexandro Bernabei there. So you are crossing your fingers hoping that... I'm seeing people saying that Frame's injured. I know, I'm just making a general point. I know he's injured, right? But leave my point be just now. Bernabei, Ralston's better there. Scales is better there. Anybody's better there. And that's not an exaggeration. I really... You are better just playing 10 men, as 50 Cent Fan 67 says. That's a mouthful. Listen, you're kind of crossing your fingers hoping that Taylor doesn't get injured in these last 9 games or whatnot, but you'd be better off without Bernabei on the park. And I'm serious when I say that. I really am. He's that bad. So I'm not too bothered. And do you know what? It is worrying. A lot of people saying, he's not that bad. That's wank. He's not that bad. And blah, blah, blah. No, he is. He is that bad. He's dreadful. He's not got a defensive bone in his body. Like, I have seen very, very, very poor players at Celtic in my time, and he's up there with one of them. But, listen, I just think it's probably best for him. There's no point in just keeping him around. Yeah, we could wait till summer, but there isn't a guarantee anybody's going to want him in summer. Now, the biggest part of the problem is that we didn't do our business in January. We should have brought a left back through the door. Now, I know apparently we tried and we couldn't get any of the options that we wanted, but we should have done that. We should have been ready for that, and we haven't. So Celtic have shot themselves in the foot with that. If that's one of your main concerns, that we don't have a backup to Greg Taylor, then, you know, we've only got Celtic to blame, really. But it looks as though Bernabei will be out the door anyway. Now, what will happen if Taylor gets injured? Maybe I'll be one of the ones left with egg in my face, but I haven't thought about it once because, honestly, I can't wait for Bernabei to leave. I feel so cruel saying that. I wish him the absolute best, and I hope he does well in his loan move. Probably a genuinely nice guy, but it's not worked out for him here at Celtic. He's had a great attitude towards things. He's been patient. He's waited for his time to come, but he's just simply not good enough. And it's as simple as that. And I think it's just one of those classic cases that we've signed someone who maybe had all the flash that we were able to show in the South American leagues, and it's not translated over here. We've not had a great record with South American players at Celtic, and I think this is just another one that kind of meets that. I mean, you look at some of them South Americans we've signed that haven't worked out over the years. Laxalt being a very, very recent example. Rafael Scheidt, if you go way back. We've had a couple of great ones, obviously. I mean, Emilio Zagiri done well. He was from Honduras, and obviously gone back to who else? That was Juninho and players like that. You know, we've had some decent players, but it's not worked out. I don't know how we ended up paying 3.75 million for him, but we did. So yes, Bernabei, it looks as though he will be leaving the club. And then finally, before I get onto the Q&A, let's have a look at the last story for today, which is about Liel Abada and his departure from Celtic. Yes, Ross saying Central America, it's fucking same thing, really. I mean, does Central America doesn't actually count as a continent, does it? In a footballing sense, it does because it's the CONCACAF. But in the real, there's 7 continents: Europe, Asia, North America, South America, Africa, Antarctica, and Oceania. So, really, South America and Central America are the same thing. Listen, I've got a fucking A in higher geography, right? You give me peace. Right. Anyway, final story of today. Let's get on to the Liel Abada stuff. His transfer out of Celtic has been held up. There is a delay. It is looking like it's going to go through. He's done the medical, apparently. But he's going to have to wait because he needs to travel back to Israel to get his hands on a biometric passport. Correct me what is a biometric passport? Is that the ones with the wee chip in it that you can put it in a machine? I don't really know what a biometric passport is. I think it means it's got to be chip in it, but he needs to go back to Israel. And that's why the deal hasn't went through yet. But he is on the verge of selling it. Keep getting this fucking hearing aids advert. So yeah, it looks as though he's going to be... That transfer will probably be announced over the coming week. We just need to wait and see what happens. Hopefully he gets his hands on that passport, and hopefully somebody's saying yes it is. I thought that. Thank you. Yeah. So, happy days. Happy days. I say happy days. I mean happy days in the sense that, I'm glad that the kind of story is going to come to an end. One thing that really has irritated me about the Liel Abada stuff is this kind of narrative that has been created by opposition supporters, and like shocking abuse for Abada. Like, where is the abuse came from? I understand there will be certain individuals who undoubtedly have probably mailed him abuse, right? I get that. There probably has been certain individuals. But there is this general narrative being peddled by hundreds of people now that Celtic fans in general have abused Liel Abada out of the club, and it's pissing me off. I have done nothing but sit in this channel and wish the best for Abada on his return to Celtic, hoped for Abada to come back fit. I cheered him on the park when he returned from injury, just like everybody did in that fucking stadium. Where is this narrative coming from? And people are letting it happen. Exactly, where is the abuse? Is the abuse in the room with us now? You cannot let maybe one or two individuals who have maybe mailed him abuse, right? Which is, once again, undoubtedly happened because people have nothing better to do with their time, right? There has been no abuse to Liel Abada. He got cheered onto the park by thousands when he returned from injury. People wanted him back in the side. Nobody has forced him out of the club. And if he feels like we have, and if people feel like we have because of a side that Celtic fans have taken in a political stand, it's two completely different things. It doesn't equate to Liel Abada being forced out the club. If he can't bring himself to play for a side that stands on a different political side of things, then fair enough, right? He can't do it. But it doesn't mean Celtic fans should be forced to change their outlook on things. And that's why I don't really mind that he's going. Because I'm morally and ethically not going to change my views on anything. I know what I side with Palestine, and I know that thousands of Celtic fans do as well, as they should. And if Liel Abada can't play for the club for those reasons, fair enough. That's his prerogative. That's his choice. And he's leaving to get himself away from that. I understand. But this narrative that has emerged on social media that Celtic fans have bullied him out of the ground and bullied him out of Celtic Football Club is absolute nonsense. Never been a thing. He was welcomed back at Celtic Park warmly, must I say. But it looks as though that transfer will be going through soon. So he'll be off to the MLS. He'll be off to Charlotte FC. And funnily enough, last night, if you are on Twitter, and all the rest of it, then you'll see that there was obviously this is I see a comment there from Jackson about the Green Brigade running the club apparently, and I'm guessing that's in relation to the Green Brigade constantly having banners to do with Palestine or whatever. He's moving to a city where there's pro-Palestine demonstrations every fucking day. It's not a Green Brigade thing. It's a worldwide, bigger than football, bigger than life thing. So you can't pin anything on the Green Brigade for bullying him out the club. He's going to be going to a city in America where they protest against Israel. He's going to get it anywhere he goes, really. So it's so bigger than football. This is a huge life situation. But anyway, 11 million quid, I'm not complaining. It's a lot of money, and I didn't think we'd get that for him. So yeah, and exactly, Cameron, he's going to see plenty of Palestine flags where he's going. I know that a lot of Americans have a great support for Israel and such, but there's still fucking thousands. It's still a very large chunk of people who are protesting against Israel. And he's going to get that over there. There's nothing, the Celtic fans have never ever bullied him out the club once. Never been a thing. And I hate that narrative that is being peddled, but he will be gone from Celtic in the next week or so. When he was playing at his absolute best, a good player, sometimes could be absolute shite, but I liked him as a player. I really did. But yeah, so there you go. Your quick update before we get into the Q&A side of things. Brendan Rodgers could be banned. We're going to wait till March 28th to find out if he is. Liel Abada will be gone in Celtic over the coming days, and Alexandre Bernabei looks as though he could be off as well with a move to Brazil. Right, okay. It's time for a Q&A session. Get your questions in. It can be about anything that we've spoke about today. It can be anything in general. It can be anything, hopefully Celtic related. That's the whole point. But if you want to ask me anything in life, then feel free. That would be That would be good. I agree, Craig. That narrative does need addressed by the club, but we are run by spineless cowards who couldn't stand up for the Celtic supporters when they were branded anti-Semitic by the Israeli national team manager or whoever it was that came out and said it. You'd think at that point in time you would stand up for your supporters. They didn't do it then. They're not going to do it now when we're getting accused of bullying a player out the club. They're spineless cowards. It ain't going to happen. But you're right, Craig. They should do it. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Exactly what I said. You stole the words out my mouth. Let's see. What else can we get? How's the rest? It was good. Good show. Really good show. You can watch it back on Triller Plus if you like. Next show, by the way, March 17th. Shameless plug coming here for my new place of work. March 17th, Garage Glasgow, the Great Glasgow Bash, ICW. Get yourselves there. Tickets are on sale. Would be nice to see you if you're into wrestling, obviously. But thank you for asking, Ross. I appreciate that. I think we need to get Ange back. Well, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, mate. Don't think that's going to happen at all. Do we reckon I should give... I said I should give, as if I'm the manager. Do we reckon that we should give Daniel Kelly a chance on Sunday? Yeah, why not? Especially if McGregor's injured. Then why not? We need to be winning that game. And I don't want us to necessarily take risks. But I think at the same time, it would be nice to see Daniel Kelly maybe get a run out. I don't know if he'll start the game, though. If I was being realistic, I think that it'll probably be like Bernardo, Awata, and O'Reilly. But listen, Daniel Kelly should not be out of the question for a start. Any care about the upcoming national team squad announcement? No. No. Obviously, I'll look in with a keen eye to see what gets done. But I'm not necessarily on the edge of my seat waiting. Hearing rumours that Calmac's out for the season longer than the stated international break. Well, I hope your rumours are shite. Simple as that. We'll need to wait and see. I've not heard much. Usually, I'll hear maybe one or two things from certain people, but I've actually not heard anything in relation to McGregor's injury apart from it's meant to be after the international break. So we'll need to wait and see what happens with that. But let's hope that's not the case. Let's hope we don't need to come back to this, Jordan, and see it was right. Thank you. Thank you, Astro and Gary. Loving your work. Thank you. I appreciate that. Enjoyed my first two shows, especially one there. I thought it was good. I've got a wrestling channel coming. If you've noticed it, you've noticed it. If you've not, then it's coming. Who's the charlatans playing tomorrow, Ryan? Depends what charlatans you're talking about. There's a few out there. Is this a poor season, in your opinion, Ryan? In my opinion, it's been extremely poor, and there's been way too many games where we've barely been getting by. It has been a poor season. It's been a season of transition, which has turned in from very quickly from transition to just general shite. But we'll see how it ends, and then we'll review it. But we haven't been good enough this season. There's no doubt about it in many different ways. So, yeah. What else are we getting? Comments on this fast and thick and fast tonight. I'm actually getting time to breathe in between questions. How long till the Sharks come out? Hopefully not at all this season. That's the way I want it to be. I had steak for my dinner. I had steak. It was nice. I'm not even a big steak fan. I think it's overrated, to be honest. But, yeah. Champions League predictions for tonight. Oh, God. I don't even know. I'll go and look at what games are on, get some questions in. We are going to check. What games are with us tonight? What games are in the room with us tonight? Let me check. Sorry, lads. Is it Man City tonight? It is Man City and Copenhagen and Real Madrid, RB Leipzig. What is the aggregate scores? City are up 3-1. Well, City will pump Copenhagen first of all. And then when it comes to Real Madrid and Rasenballspor Leipzig, I kind of want to predict a wee Leipzig upset, but realistically, I mean, Real will probably spank them. So Real and City to go through. Right, let's see. I've got some questions coming in though. Do you think this will be like the 10-in-a-row season or just a title race, Ryan? It should be probably considered a title race. The 10-in-a-row season was just strange, and we were so far behind. And though I think about it, why have you asked me, Michael? You're ruining my night. I was enjoying my night, and now you've asked me that. Celtic need time and the SFA need time to collect evidence and present their case. It's not a conspiracy that the hearing date is what it is. It happens after this period of time with every manager. Thank you. I was a Rangers fan, but thank you. Listen, I'm not I don't believe in conspiracies in any walk of fucking life, right? I know how these things work. Don't talk to me. Don't blame me, right? I don't peddle that. No, thank you for your insight, though. I appreciate it. How do you watch Phil Foden, Man City, or Mikey Johnson? Go for Mikey Johnson. You know you want to. It's the right answer. I think if Bernabei and Abada go, players like Freeman Vata should be given chances like how Kelly is. But this is the thing, right? We're not at the same point now this season as we have been in previous years. We don't have that luxury to arse about. And I'm not, and listen, that's not me saying that Vata or Kelly aren't good enough, because they'd probably put in better fucking performances than a lot of players have this season. But we are, like, very far off from being able just to throw people in for the sake of it. We need to be sure in what we're doing. So it's not the same luxury of being like, oh, we'll start them this week. So it's going to be an interesting end to the season, to say the least. Do you think we are having a clear out, or do you think we are having a clear out Gore summer window and big signings, or for the summer window big signings? Yeah, hopefully fucking so. I'd like to think that where did appreciate come from there? I'd like to think that's the reason. Rodgers takes his steak like a beautiful human being. Yes, he does. Elliot, hello, nice to see you, my man. Will you be involved with the GWP or just main ICW shows? As far as I'm aware, for now. If you think I'm training, I'm like, fuck that. I've not got an athletic bone in my body. Don't listen. I've had a few people messaging me saying you're going to get the tights on soon. Listen, there is more chance of fucking Ric Flair wrestling one more match than there is of me ever wrestling a match. Put it that way. It ain't happening. Unless. But no, just main ICW stuff, I think, for now. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Did I hear? Yes, Helen, that's a good one. Actually, that was announced today as well. The charity match between the Celtic legends and the Borussia Dortmund legends, which should be fun. I mean, it's one of those, these kind of things, it's the same with like the Player of the Year ceremony. Like, if we don't win the league, it will leave a sour taste in the mouth of fans, and I don't see tickets selling really well. But we'll see who gets announced for it. You know me, I like Borussia Dortmund. Always have done. Got a lot of Borussia Dortmund tops. So, pretty cool. I might get a ticket. I don't know if I'll be away or anything like that. I don't know what my summer plans and stuff are. So, yeah. Right. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm going to wrap it up there because we've went over the half-hour mark, and usually I try and keep it under the half-hour mark. So, I'm going to wrap it up. If you've enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. We should be back on the channel tomorrow. I think we're filming the podcast tomorrow night as well. Waiting to get confirmation from Ryan McGinley to see if he's... Yes. One of my mates is training. The plan is to be his manager. Telling you. But anyway, podcast tomorrow. Hopefully a video tomorrow. Podcast will be up Friday. And then weekend we've got a game. Yada yada. Should be all grand, is what I'm saying. So yeah, I'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your night. Cheerio. Bye bye.